Ladies and gentlemen, episode 3 of the Dual Threat podcast. We had a wild NFL week 15. We're here to break it all down for you. I'm here with my co-host, Guru Griff. Griff, how's it going, my man? What'd you think of the games this weekend?
It is going beautiful right now. As you could see, we appreciate you guys liking and subscribing and viewing the first podcast. You know what I mean? We had a college football one. We had an NFL one. We're not in person on this one. You know what I mean? It's the holiday season. Caden flew back to the North Pole. He's with the elves. You know what I mean? He's trying to get ready for the holiday season, but we're going to make it work for you. We're going to make it work for you. Week 15, right? That was this past week. You know what I mean? Yes, once we get past or once we get to this point, all the weeks blend. But week 15 in the NFL, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. It has had its ups, had its downs, had its upsets. We're in the playoff spots too. So every little game matters. It was an exciting time.
Yes, definitely was. And great to shout out all the people who checked out episode 1 and episode 2. We appreciate you guys catching up with us. We know that it was kind of tough to find the YouTube initially, so thanks for riding through the ups and downs with us. This is going to turn into something that's going to be very fun for a very long time, so we're excited that you are here with us. We'll start on Thursday Night Football. A wild comeback from the Atlanta Falcons. The Buccaneers leading the NFC South. They had that game advantage over the Carolina Panthers, and they had a 14-point lead late, and they choke it. Kirko Chains does his thing on Thursday night. Griff, what'd you see here from the Falcons, man?
Caden hit the dance. Caden hit the Kirko dance. Kirk Cousins was in the building. Don't know what it is about Kirk Cousins. He always balls out against Tampa Bay. He always balls out against Tampa Bay. This game mattered nothing for the Falcons. Absolutely nothing for the Falcons. It mattered so much for Tampa Bay. Thursday Night Football at home, playing the Falcons, getting guys back. Mike Evans, Bucky came back the week before, I believe, but I mean, they were getting guys back. And this matters to the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers, it was weird. They're up, 28-14 late in this game. But then here come the Falcons. Then here comes Kirko Chains. Then it was crazy. They would have some fumbles that would land in the Falcons' hands. Yeah. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen a lot of the times. And then Kyle Pitts. If you had Kyle Pitts on your fantasy, I mean, shout out you guys in the playoffs, but I mean, not a lot of people probably started him. And I saw the memes of it took me 10 years of riding with this guy to finally get some
the pickaxe
production.
Meme, trying to get the diamonds. And it's
finally got to the diamonds with Kyle Pitts. Shout out Kyle Pitts. Shout out the Falcons. It means nothing. You know what I mean? But Tampa Bay, they blew that game. Now we will get to another divisional game later on. So, because I mean, that other divisional game was tough too, but Tampa, they look rough right now. They look absolutely rough.
Yeah, they do. And I was really optimistic about them coming into this week because I was like, they're going to get Mike Evans back. They're going to get Jalen McMillan back. They're going to finally retool this receiving core that's really needed some help, Griff. Like the offense, they were red hot at the beginning of the season. All the chatter was about Baker Mayfield. He's going to be this MVP candidate. And for them to be 7-7, I'm concerned about them right now. And I do think they'll pick it up a little bit here because I look at Mike Evans going for 6 receptions, 132 yards, and Jalen McMillan being the third leading receiver on that team. Those two guys will help out, but I have questions about this defense. Kirk Cousins, I don't know what it is about him on Thursday Night Football. That dude turns into just an absolute specimen, an absolute dog. It was so fun to watch him. But for Tampa, Griff, it's just like in this NFC, you're either a contender or you're not. There is no in between. Like in the AFC, I think we feel like there are a lot of teams that can maybe get hot at the right time and go on a run. If you're in the NFC, you've got to be one of these top dogs that is really showing that you can hang and contend with the big boys. And I just haven't seen that from Tampa Bay, and I haven't seen that from Baker Mayfield over the last few weeks. Now, it's not to say they can't turn it around, but Griff, I am a little rattled with my confidence with them.
No, Kane, the NFC South is done. They're absolutely cooked. You might have some rattling confidence. My confidence is out the window in the entire division. These guys are first-round exits. Who cares if the Panthers or the Bucs win the division? They will lose to the Seattle Seahawks in the first round or the Rams in the first round because the Rams or Seahawks, I feel like, are going to get that 5th seed. But yeah, no confidence in either of them. Tampa Bay, the defense, what are we doing? The offense, Baker Mayfield, that interception that he threw late was just pointless. Like, what are you doing? Baker is not playing well. The Panthers are not playing well. I think this division is gone. I think this division is cooked. Arguably the worst division in the NFL. You know what I mean? I get it. You want to win the division. You want to go to the playoffs. But I mean, looking forward to, like you said, the NFC is just so stacked. I see these guys as first round exits, either Tampa or Panthers.
Yeah, it's so weird because I feel like with Tampa over the last few years, it's been like we all know that they can win the regular season games because they're in a terrible division, and then they're going to get rewarded by hosting a playoff game. But it's like, are they realistically going to ever do anything with it? Like we haven't seen them really live up to it. Jaden Daniels went in there last year and obviously beat them. And of course they knocked out that infamous 2023 Eagles team. But the Buccaneers have been in a weird spot over the last few years where it's like, man, they're scratching and clawing to get to 9 wins to 10 wins. And then they just somehow squeak out the division. I feel like we might see a division where it's like you got 9 wins out of the NFC South. I've not been loving what I've been seeing from any of those teams. Let's go to Sunday. We'll start in the 10 a.m. window here. Browns, Bears. Caleb Williams does his thing. Shedeur Sanders struggles. What did you see here?
Nothing much that not any other person saw. Browns stink. Myles Garrett got a sack and a half, so he's a sack and a half away from getting the record. You know what I mean? We're going to be
shout
on
out sack watch. Yep.
So shout out sack watch. Yep. We are officially on sack watch. No pause. But I mean, yeah, the Bears just dominated them. The Browns stink. Shedeur Sanders did not have a good game. He played like Dookie. The offense stinks. The Browns stink, and the Bears got a good win. Huge game next week. Bears versus Packers. Huge game. Browns are good, or Bears are good. Browns stink.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is like, I feel like I'm on the Caleb Williams roller coaster all season long, where it's like sometimes he's going to play like a top 5 quarterback in football. And other times, you know, he's going to be lucky to complete 50% of his passes. And I think with him, we've already, and we've talked about this, we beat a dead horse with this. We get how you're playing with house money, but for Caleb, it's like, can you just continue to string together these consistent weeks? We know you're the franchise guy. We know you're going to be a really, really good player, but can you continue to put together these consistent weeks where you're going 17 to 28, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, really clean game from Caleb overall. This Bears team, to your point, has a massive one against the Packers for the division lead. They now jump back into the division lead, hitting 10 wins with Green Bay losing. A lot to encompass with Green Bay and everything. But yeah, not too much crazy going on in this one. The Browns stink. We're on sack watch, and the Bears, can they win the NFC North? That'd be absolutely wild. A lot of divisional games this week. Ravens traveling on the road against the Bengals. They pull out the belts. They put it all over the Bengals. This was a terrible one, Griff.
Yeah, I made a video about this. They need to gut the Bengals from top to bottom. I'm talking about Joe Burrow. You need to request a trade. You're not happy there. They're not going to give you the pieces to be successful. You need to either request a trade or retire. Jamar Chase, you already signed big bags, so sucks to suck. You're there. Fire the coach. Fire the GM. Don't know who owns the John. Fire them. Fire the popcorn guy. Fire the churro guy. The cheerleaders on the sideline. I'm sorry, you're cut too. You're absolutely everyone's cut. Everyone's cut. This game was abysmal. They look like they did not care, and they still had hope. Like, if they go in there and win this game and win out, they still have hope for the playoffs, and they acted like they have been eliminated for the last 6 weeks. They were terrible. Joe Burrow was terrible too. I'm not saying that Joe Burrow played good and everyone else played bad. No, he played bad too. Everyone played bad. Ravens, much needed win right there. Much needed win. The Bengals are eliminated. They need to get rid of everyone. But the Baltimore Ravens get a much needed win.
Yeah, they did. It's so weird. I just couldn't have expected coming into this week seeing all the drama with the press conference stuff where Joe Burrow's talking about how, you know, he doesn't necessarily love the game of football like he used to, kind of in what I broke down from it, and how this could be what we're seeing as a guy who retires early, like Andrew Luck. Like, it's just a really weird situation with Joe Burrow, and it's such a bummer. And we've talked about this before, but 3 straight years not making it into the playoffs. And we know that this is a guy who, when he gets into the dance, when he's been healthy, when he's had his receivers, Griff, they're as dangerous as anyone. And he is as good as anyone when it comes to stepping up in the big moments. But yet it's been the injuries 2 out of the last 3 years. It's been the shady defense over the last 2 years. It's never come together for the Cincinnati Bengals at the right time. And to your point, I feel like major change needs to be made. I just don't know if that Band-Aid ever gets ripped off, where it's like they're going to trade Joe Burrow, but I'd love to see him go to a team where he can actually be a perennial contender every single year. Cause it just feels like we're playing the what if game with Joe Burrow. And when I reminisce on his career in 10 to 15 years, am I going to just sit here and say, what if? Like, I feel like that's what we're entering here with Joe Burrow. And I feel like you can say that about a lot of great quarterbacks, but the Bengals, they lose, they're eliminated. The Ravens really needed this win. They get some life here. Who do you feel like right now you have more confidence in winning the AFC North? The Steelers or Bengals?
It's difficult to say because it changes week by week. Caden, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, when the Bengals beat the Ravens, I was thinking the Bengals were going to do it. I thought the Bengals were going to catch everyone. Everyone else looked like dog water, but then the Steelers beat the Ravens, and then the Bengals lose to the Ravens by 1 billion points. And I'm just thinking to myself, I have no idea. Then last night, the Steelers put the belts on the Miami Dolphins. Makes no sense. I would say right now the Steelers have the advantage because looking at the Ravens schedule, they play the Patriots, the Packers, and then the Steelers. That's a tough game. Those are tough 3 games. For the Steelers, they play Detroit, the Browns, and then the Ravens. So I do think Detroit gets the belts out against Pittsburgh. But I mean, it might come down to that last game in Pittsburgh and the Steelers Ravens. Who's going to win the division? I'll tell you right now, I don't have a lot of confidence in either. But if it goes down to it, I mean, if the Ravens lose these next 2 games, the Steelers just have to beat the Browns and they're in. It's weird.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see right here, because Pittsburgh's 8-6 and the Ravens are 7-7. They're actually, and we're going to talk about this at the end of the show. We're going to preview Week 16. The Ravens are a 2.5 point favorite over New England. So maybe we're seeing Vegas and what they're ultimately viewing. They might be viewing this Baltimore team as potentially contender all of a sudden. They see that Cincinnati win, and maybe they're like, okay, they're running the football at a high level. Maybe they're going to get Lamar a little healthier. Like, that is a weird line to me for them to go from this Patriots team that's basically been at the top of the AFC all year long to now Baltimore's a favorite. I agree with you. I think Pittsburgh, because they have the easier schedule and because they already beat Baltimore, I'd probably give them the tip of the cap. But to your point, I have zero confidence in either one of these teams to just knock me out of my socks and say they're going to win this division.
It's kind of like like we talked about in the NFC South. I still think whoever wins this division is probably going to be a first round exit.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't have any confidence in the Steelers winning a playoff game and breaking that streak for the first time in a long time. Chargers Chiefs had me shedding a few tears. This was a tough one, especially a few days before when we put out the Titanic meme where I said, I'm going to be on the Titanic with Jack. And I think the toughest part about this too, Griff, was that why did this have to really come to fruition like this, where it's like, I really did sink all the way to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. My sister actually corrected me on that one, but I sink all the way to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and Mahomes has to tear his ACL. Like, I don't know why this had to be the solution. I wish it would have just been, hey, they lose to the Chargers and we don't have to worry about the Chiefs. But I just feel like I have such a bad taste in my mouth after watching this game.
It was double salt in the wound. You know what I mean? It was the wound was they lost, and then the double salt was, man, he tore his ACL. That was absolutely, I don't know what the Chiefs are. I'm not going to say I don't know what the Chiefs are going to do, because they're going to be fine. He's going to come back. But in that game, if you remember, Caden, I was like, dude, why are the Chargers 5.5 point dogs? Like, it makes no sense. Every game with the Chiefs this year is close. And if they do win, they're going to win by a field goal. And I was thinking to myself, like, 5.5 is a lot for the Chargers, and the Chargers end up winning the game. This was a weird time. It was 13-3 in this game. And I was like, dude, the Chiefs look good. The Chiefs look good at this point. The offense is moving the ball. The defense looks good. And then the Chargers got a cheeky touchdown late in that to end the first half and made it 13-10. That really changed the momentum of this game. Because like I said, if you kick a field goal and it's 13-6, that's all momentum changing. And in the second half, the offense stunk. The defense, I thought the defense did well enough to win the game, to be honest. What did they give up? 16 total points. The Chiefs should score more than 16 total points at home at the crib. It just wasn't their season, Caden. It just wasn't their season. Patrick Mahomes didn't play up to his level, didn't play terrible, didn't play up to his level. Everyone stunk. I'm not putting this on Patrick Mahomes. Even Andy Reid stunk, in my opinion. So with him tearing his ACL, I think he's going to be back. You think October of next year? It depends on ACL injuries. You know what I mean? It's they're sometimes 12 months, sometimes 10, sometimes 9. It just depends. Travis Kelce's going to be gone. I think Chris Jones will come back. I think Andy Reid will come back. It's going to be interesting to see, because if the Chiefs lose out, I know who's the quarterback now?
Gardner Minshew. Yep.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew's right there. If I was a Chiefs fan, I would want to lose out, get that like 15th overall pick, and then build around that. Yeah.
A few things here. I think the first problem is, like, they're going to play the Titans and the Raiders, so they'll still probably, even as much as it sucks and you want to get a bad pick, you're probably going to win those games, because the Titans and Raiders are better at out tanking the Chiefs than the Chiefs are, Griff.
I will say, I don't know, man. The Chiefs look rough right now. They can't catch a pass. They can't block.
That's a good point.
Defense, once Chris Jones really because did you see that interview where he's like, oh, we're out? Like, he didn't even know that they're out of the playoffs. And like, I just saw
he's already booking his flights to Cancun.
Booking his flights. He's booking his flights to Cancun. Like, if you look at Cam Ward's still a guy who's like, dude, I want to go out there and win. My team sucks. Don't get me wrong. The Titans suck. And then the Raiders are awful. Who's that other game that they have? The Chargers? Or Denver?
No, they play Denver. Yeah.
Oh, Denver's going to
on Christmas. Christmas all of a sudden turned into the worst slate ever, by the way. It looked so juicy. It looked magical. You had like Jaden Daniels, Mahomes. You had all these great matchups, and now every single one of them is just absolutely cheeks. It's a horrible slate. But
it's a horrible slate.
Yeah, it stinks. But for the Chiefs, yeah, Griff, to your point, when you were talking about them earlier on, it's like, yeah, they were up 13-3. You felt like they were going to win this game. How many times have we been in this position with the Chiefs this year where it's like they should have won, or they were right there, or it's a one-score loss? Like, this happens every single week with them, whether it's Houston the week before and Andy Reid makes a questionable call. Dallas, you give up 31 points, you struggle, and you have to rely on that late comeback. Denver hits that game winner, but they convert that 3rd and 14 late to Cortland Sutton. Buffalo, I'm just going through all these losses right here. Buffalo, Mahomes has a career low in completion percentage. Josh Allen has a career high. Jacksonville, you're up 14-0. You drop an interception in the red zone that would have put the icing on the cake. Philadelphia, Travis Kelce has a ball bounce off his chest into an interception on the goal line that goes the other way. Against the Chargers, Travis Kelce knocks out Xavier Worthy. I mean, this is the type of season. It's been like a Looney Tunes season. It's like a cartoon pretty much. Like, every single week has had its own story where it's just a big face palm. And as somebody that took the Chiefs, I'm not even a Chiefs fan, but people deem me as a Chiefs fan. I have just been speechless. I've run out of excuses, and now here we are where Mahomes tears his ACL, and I was like, what?
Yeah. No,
it's just a brutal way to end it.
The rumors are going around that Chris Collinsworth and Caden, they're not going to know what to do with the rest of the season.
No,
they're not going to know what to do with.
But I'll admit it, I'm not going to know what to do now. I'm gonna get fully on my Texans bandwagon and fully on my Rams bandwagon. I have been high on both of those teams, but in all fairness, as much as people want to criticize me for taking the Chiefs and high horse me, at least I'm not like every other person in the media outside of you that just flip-flops every single week on who they like. Like, at least I'm actually staying consistent and making it fun. Like, people just jump on a new team every single week. But, can you blame me for taking the best player on the planet? Griff, I think me and you can both agree that Mahomes is still the best player on the planet, regardless of this injury.
Yeah, no, he's the quarterback that I would want. But Caden, it's so weird how the world works. They needed so many things to happen for them to get officially eliminated. Now, on the hindsight's 2020, him tearing his ACL, like, if those other things didn't happen, they would have had no chance in the playoffs anyways. But I mean, they needed the Texans to win. That's not that crazy. They needed the Jags to win. That's not that crazy. They needed the Bills to beat the Patriots, and they were down 21-0. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like everything had to happen to the Chiefs for them to be eliminated, and it happened. Now, like I said, even if let's just say the Patriots ended up winning that game, Patrick Mahomes tearing his ACL, they would be cooked.
I don't know if you saw this, and then we'll get into the Chargers after this, but I don't know if you saw this, but Mahomes and Brady were both chasing number 4. Yeah, both chasing number 4 on their 9th seasons. They both tore their ACLs, and they both missed the playoffs, which I think is really freaking weird. But how crazy that just the two GOATs of the sport have those season-ending injuries in the same time frame, chasing number 4.
Hey, but one was the opener of the season. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Tom Brady was the opener of the season.
And I was talking to my dad about that because I feel like, people might honestly like forget about this flub of a season in 10 to 15 years where they're like, yeah, Mahomes didn't make the playoffs once. And I know I'm going to say this narrative over the next few years where it's like every season that Mahomes finished fully healthy, he made it to the AFC Championship. And I think with everything considered, they were 6-7 driving. They had a chance to win that game. They were like the 40-yard line, and he tears his ACL. So they had a chance to win it. And the Chargers still have got 3 tough games left. But I digress. Let's talk a little bit about Los Angeles. They're 10-4. They seem legit. These have all been culture wins for Harbaugh. Tell me what you're seeing from the Chargers, and are they a legitimate Super Bowl contender?
That's what I think about the Chargers. You know what I mean? Like, good win. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. Good, solid win. But I'm just not ready to sit there and put the Chargers on the Texans level, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Bills level yet. I'll have to see it to believe it. You know what I mean? I do have that bad taste in my mouth that every time the Chargers get in the playoffs, they stink. The Herbinator stinks in the playoffs. Now, prove me wrong, Chargers. Chargers fans, prove me wrong. I know there's only 5 of you out there, but I'm not ready to sit there and say that, like, oh, this was the game that gets me on right on them, because, like I said, divisional game, Patrick Mahomes blows his ACL up. The game before against the Eagles, if Jalen Hurts doesn't turn the ball over 5 times, they mollywop them. So I'm not ready to say. Because if you put them against the Texans, I'm taking the Texans. The Broncos, I'm taking the Broncos. Patriots, I'm taking the Patriots. Bills, I'm taking the Bills. Dude, honestly, the Jags, I may even pick the Jags
Really?
over the Chargers. But, and that's not me saying that they're cans. That's not me saying that the Chargers are cans. But you asked, what is my confidence level on them? Wild card first round exit, in my opinion.
Interesting, because as of right now, as we sit, week 15 just wrapped up. The Chargers have the 5. They have the 5 seed, so they play Pittsburgh in round 1. I would take the Chargers over Pittsburgh.
Okay. I would if that thing happens. But I do think I played it out in my head. I think Houston catches them. Because I think Houston plays the Chargers, and like you said, the Chargers in 2 weeks, remaining 3 games is brutal.
Yeah, it is. They've got the Cowboys this week, Texans, and then I want to say it's the Broncos as well. So they've got, and the Broncos is on the road. So they've got 3. Houston's the only one at home in the final 3.
Yeah, and maybe even that Broncos game, like the Broncos might be ahead of everyone. They might just chill, and the Chargers might get a win. I do think the Chargers make the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. It depends on who they play. It really does. Yeah. It depends on who they play.
Yeah, I agree. What if they play the Jaguars? I think I would take the Chargers over the Jaguars.
I would take the Jaguars over the Chargers. The Jags, they have something, because I think that the Jags beat them up like the last. Didn't they play earlier this year?
This season? Let me look.
I think they played.
My memory is not serving me correct. I'm pulling it up. They did, and Jacksonville beat the heck out of them.
Yeah, that was
6. Wow, that's right.
Yeah. They beat the brakes off them, and I remember watching that game, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of like a revenge game for the Chargers 2-3 years ago in the playoffs." No, I'd pick the Jags. I'd pick the Jags. Yeah. So I'm not picking the Chargers over anyone, unless they played Pittsburgh. If they play Pittsburgh, I would lean the Chargers just because I don't think Pittsburgh can score enough points. But yeah, I think the Chargers are first round exits. Playoff team though.
Boy, would that get loud if Herbert had another stinker in the first round and they lost. That would get loud. That would get loud. Sure. All right, let's hop into another massive divisional game here. Bills down 21. They prevail. Josh Allen puts on that Superman cape. They come back and win. What a game.
What a game. What an absolute game. The Guru sent Caden a little message when they were up 21-0. Yes, I sent a little demon smiley face, and he knew what it is. He's like, God dang it. And then I texted him like 10 minutes later. I was like, these dudes are gonna blow it. I was like, the Bills are gonna come back and win this game. Tale of 2 halves here. Tale of 2 halves. The Patriots were amazing in the first half and dog water in the second half. The Bills were dog water in the first half, amazing in the second half. Caden, I will say, this is gonna make me sound very, very weenie-ish. I don't lose any stock on the Patriots. Okay. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're biased, all this other stuff. You picked them to win. Of course, you're going to say that. I'm here to say, for the Bills fans who sat there and said, like, oh, you thought the Patriots were going to win? We mollywopped them. Like, oh, pump the brakes. Mollywopping was not in those cards. No. I mean, being down 21-0, 24. What was the halftime score? 24-3? 24-7?
I want to say it was because I think it was 24-7. 24-7.
Yeah, it was either 24-7. Now, it does suck for the Patriots because now it's like, okay, you got to beat the Ravens. You got to win this division. But like you said, Josh Allen put on a Superman cape. He put on a Superman cape, and everything went right for the Bills in that second half. They came out. They scored a touchdown, 24-14. Patriots 3-0. They go down, score a touchdown, 24-21. Then I was like, oh my gosh, like once you feel the momentum in the NFL, it is absolutely real, and it'll steamroll you. And it steamrolled the Patriots. The Patriots just couldn't get out of their own way. They would go 3 and outs. Josh Allen would get the ball, score a touchdown. Don't know where that Josh Allen was in the first half, but he showed up in the second half. He's amazing. He is amazing. Don't lose any stock on the Patriots. I still think they're a good team. I still think they're solid. But I mean, it was a hell of a game, hell of a comeback by the Bills. Congratulations, Bills. I don't want to discredit the Bills because they deserve a lot of credit.
The funny thing was, Griff, alongside of you, I had about 10 other people in my DMs that I saw sending me laughing faces or Bills what happened, and intentionally I've this has happened to me too many times where I get ahead of myself. I text someone when a team's doing really well or something, and it comes back to bite me in the butt. I purposefully didn't say anything. I waited all the way until the fat lady sang, and sure enough, she did in my favor. What a game for Buffalo. I had a big smile on my face. To your point, I don't see how you could lose stock in New England. Although I haven't been as sky high on them as everyone else, you can't lose stock in them when they already went on the road and beat Buffalo this year. When they were winning by 21, they did virtually anything they wanted to. They just couldn't get those big time first downs when it mattered the most. But
yeah,
Griff,
it wasn't like
they
got to 21-0 with, okay, Josh Allen threw 3 pick sixes. It was like, no, like they looked dominant. And then in the second half, they didn't.
Yeah. And to your point, I don't think it's fair to lose stock in a team, especially when you can lose on any given Sunday. But this is 2 divisional teams. Probably, I would say, the best quarterback in football right now with Mahomes being injured. This is the best remaining quarterback in the National Football League. And this is a moment where you had to seize your opportunity, Josh Allen. And this is what scares me a little bit for the rest of the NFL, because this is now 2 weeks in a row where Josh has put on the cape against the Bengals and now against the Patriots on the road. He made every single play he had to. Griff, they don't have weapons, man. They don't have anyone to throw the ball to. Josh is throwing, and this is not a slant or a disrespect at Khalil Shakir, Kincaid, any of these guys, but dude, those are all wide receiver 3s. Like I don't even know if they have a true wide receiver 2 on that football team. Like Josh Allen, what he's done the last season and a half, I don't think it gets enough credit. I honestly don't. I know he got the MVP last year, and I know what we're seeing him do this year. People have been very up and down on him, but Griff, you have to look at this and be like, man, this guy he's Herculean every single week. And I just feel like we can't underappreciate that. But man, this Bills team, I think right now it's them and the Texans right now. And I know people are going to get on me about the Broncos and about the Patriots. I still want to see a little bit more, but I would take personally the Bills and the Texans over about anyone in the AFC.
Listen, I feel bad for the Bills fans because how much longer can he put the Superman cape on and keep doing this? Don't get me wrong. If he could do it to the Super Bowl, let it ride off. But I mean, I feel like we're going to clip this in the divisional round in the AFC Championship game. He's going to put that cape on and the defense is not going to show up. And I feel like the Superman is going to crumble and fall. If he could do it throughout the playoffs, that's one thing. But we saw the defense. It was terrible in that first half against the Patriots. What happens if they stepped up in the second half? They stepped up in the second half against the Cincinnati Bengals. If they can do that, they need to help Josh Allen out. I want to see Josh Allen. I'm one of those guys. Hell, I would love to see Josh Allen win a Super Bowl. The Patriots, the Texans, the Broncos, Trevor Lawrence, the Jags. I'm not sitting here saying that I don't want him to win a Super Bowl, but how I feel like in the divisional round or the AFC Championship game, we're going to be sitting here saying that the fans are going to be like, someone help Josh Allen out. He's going to put on the Superman cape, and it's not going to be enough in the playoffs, I feel like. And we're going to be sitting here saying, like, man, if the defense could have helped Josh Allen, they would have won a Super Bowl. If some of those wide receivers could have helped Josh Allen, they could have won a Super Bowl. You go back into the trade deadline. They didn't want to give Waddle up for this year's first rounder. What was that rumor?
Yeah.
Why didn't you do it, Bills? Why didn't you do it in the AFC Championship game? You might be sitting there saying, like, what does that first rounder do? If we had him, if we gave up that first rounder, had Waddle in the AFC Championship game, we could have gone to the Super Bowl. I don't know. Listen, this is all futuristic talk that we're talking about, but Josh Allen is the best quarterback remaining in the playoffs so far because Patrick Mahomes is out. And I'm hoping that he can put the Superman cape on and ride off into the sunset. But I think that defense is gonna crumble and screw him.
Although the defense has cost the Bills in the past, just to be contrarian here, what I would say is that Josh has been, I would say he's probably outplayed in Mahomes in most of the matchups that he's gone up against him. And he did struggle a little bit against Burrow. I think he had a few interceptions that game, but you know, he's 0-5 against those guys, and he has 6 losses in the playoffs, and 5 of them have come between those 2 quarterbacks, and the other one came his rookie year. I feel like the defense, when you're going up against Andy Reid and you're going up against the Chiefs, it's a lot harder to stop them versus the Broncos, versus the Texans. Like, I feel like in the AFC, there aren't really any like juggernaut offenses like there have been in the past, like you see in the NFC, whether it's heck, even the Lions. Like, the Lions have a great offense. The Rams have a great offense. The Packers at times have a special offense. Even the Seahawks have a tremendous offense. Like, there are a lot of really, really good offenses in the NFC. I feel like in the AFC right now, you've got a lot of gritty, tough, defensive-minded teams, even New England, and New England can definitely turn it up offensively. But Griff, in the past, he's gone up against Mahomes and against Joe Burrow. Although I think we could be eventually getting to that point where it's like, dude, please give Josh Allen some help. I think it could be different this time around because he doesn't have to go up against one of the best ever.
Caden, what wins championships?
Defense, baby. But Josh Allen does too.
And these Herculean defenses that he's going to have to go up in against Denver and against Houston. We saw what he did against Houston. The Bills need to win this division, Caden. Now, they're a long shot to win the division. They need to win this division because if you have to go to Houston, because I think the Houston is going to jump the Jags. If they have to go to Houston, that's not good. If they have to go to Denver, that's not good for Josh Allen. We saw what Houston did to that offensive line. Creamed them. Absolutely corned them. But I mean, hey, Josh Allen, put the Superman cape on and win that, John. I'll be happy. You know what I mean? I'll be happy to see it.
Defenses do win championships with Josh Allen, even going up against Spags in the past. He's had his way with that defense. It's just been their defense not being able to make stops. And even against the Broncos last year, they were still top 10 defense in football. Josh put up like 40 against them, but Commanders, Giants, we spend a lot of time on that one here. We've got some kind of cupcake ones here. We want to make sure we hit every game this week. We didn't do that last week. Commanders, Giants, Griff, Jackson Dart, 5th time in the medical tent for a concussion. My goodness.
Yeah, this dude needs to change his style. I know on the comms after on the interviews, he says, I'm not changing my style. You're going to have to change your style or you're not going to be in the league that long. It's just simple as fact. It's not like you're fighting the narrative and you're like sticking it to anyone. No, you're sticking it to your franchise. You're sticking it to the fans who love you. Washington won this game, but Washington lost this game. This was the poop bowl. No one cared. Shout out the Washington for shutting down Jane Daniels for the rest of the year. Don't know why you didn't do that 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when his arm was at a chicken wing. But yeah, the Giants lost, but they really won because now they have the first overall pick. Don't ruin it, Giants. Keep losing. Get that first overall pick. Openly tank. And Washington, you won the game. I don't really have anything to shout out Washington for. Your draft stock kind of stinks. It's not terrible, but I mean, the Giants lost but won.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at the final 3 games here. I think they should be able to tank pretty effectively here. You got Minnesota at home this week. I think Minnesota is still playing for a lot.
Line is insane.
What's the line? I didn't even see it.
It's like 2.5 or 3.5 for the Vikings, and I'm like, dude, the Vikings are gonna destroy the Giants. The way the Vikings are playing right now,
that's one of those weird trappy games where I told you about the Saints Panthers.
Yeah, I think the Giants. Yeah, I think, but I mean that was divisional. But the Giants, like they're going to be openly tanking. In Minnesota, JJ is playing well. We'll get to him in a second. But I mean, sorry on the sidebar, but I mean, like I think the Vikings destroy him.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. I didn't realize that line was so short. Vegas is always knows something, and then they go on the road against. And then, speaking of, then they go on the road against Vegas. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I thought the line viewer was going to be like 7.5 for the Vikings.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Like, I thought the Vikings were going to be a bigger favorite if that's what I was getting at.
Totally fair. Yeah. So they've got Minnesota this week at home.
Oh my gosh, Raiders.
Raiders. Yep. On the road against the Raiders. And then they get Dallas at home. It could be. Yeah. That's going to be the official number 1 overall pick bowl on the road against the Raiders. But we'll see if they can successfully get that number 1 overall pick. Yeah, to your point, long overdue. Please rest Jaden Daniels. It's a bummer. This season, I think every year, obviously, you have a team that kind of ascends out of nowhere that makes the playoffs, or you have a team that kind of falls out of earth. And for Washington, they have had the injuries, but the defense has really, really regressed this year. The defense is bad this year, and they were okay last year, but they were just flat out bad this year. You've got 3 more years left on this Jaden Daniels rookie contract. You need to build up this roster as much as you can and become a Super Bowl contender again. You were last year. You made the NFC Championship. Build around JD5 because the dude is an absolute dog. All right. Raiders, Eagles, pull out the belts. Pull out the belts. What'd you see?
You said everything. The Eagles much needed win. They needed this. They needed the belts out game. They needed to get the belts out and whoop a bad team, and that's exactly what they did. The Eagles need to win out now. If the Eagles win out, watch out for the Eagles in the playoffs. If they win out and get some momentum, if this defense plays up to par, and I mean Hurts plays well in the playoffs, you know what I mean? I'm not saying they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I'm saying if they win out, because in the win out phase, they would have beat the Bills, and that's a great win if they beat the Bills. They beat up on a bad team. The Raiders stink. Pete Carroll, don't know why he came back to this bum team. Raiders stink. Eagles are good.
Yeah, the Eagles play calling almost looked really good this game, but I just don't know if it's more of like,
Almost
hey,
too good.
The Raiders are the worst team on planet Earth, the worst team in the last decade, or the Eagles are finally turning it around offensively. I mean, this hasn't been a layup for the Eagles over the last few weeks, so I think they'll take anything in the right direction, especially getting a shutout in the National Football League. Vic Fangio's had those boys ready to go on defense. Nice win for Philadelphia. Every win is a good win. You'll take it. Let's see if you can close the season strong. To your point, you can never count out the championship pedigree of the Philadelphia Eagles, especially with the firepower they have on offense. Jaguars, another just absolute dominant victory for them. They're getting really hot at the right time. They beat up on the Jets 48-20. What'd you see here?
Best game of Trevor Lawrence's career. This is what they paid him for. If he could play like this, he's MVP, Super Bowl champion if he could play like this. Now, can he be consistent? I have no idea. If you're viewing this and I'm looking over to my right, the computer's over here, so Caden is over here, and then my camera is over here. And also, if you made it this far into the video, we appreciate. Give it a like, give it a comment. Comment what you think of your Week 15 review, and then show us some of your Week 16 picks. You know what I mean? Show us some of your Week 16 picks. But yeah, not a lot to say here. Jags whooped up on a bad team. Trevor Lawrence is getting hot at the right point. The Jags, huge game against the Broncos this week, but Trevor Lawrence played amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I had kind of like a strong reaction if you're looking over to your right when you said like, yeah, like Super Bowl MVP, all this stuff. I was kind of like, oh my goodness, about and you know,
if he played like that, and you have to admit if he and I get it, it's the Jets, viewer. I get it, the Jets stink, but I mean the Jags have been playing well. You know, we'll see against the Broncos. It is a week by week league that we live in, but the Jags have looked impressive.
True. Yeah. And I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment. You know, they've won 5 out of the last 6, lost to Houston. They did beat up on the Chargers. That was just a weird one. I don't know how to feel about that game. I just think the Chargers were so injured at that point, and they still are super injured. But Griff, I don't know if I can just sit here and confidently tell you this is like a Super Bowl contending team. And I know everybody wants me to kind of flip my switch considering they're 10-4, but you go through these wins. I mean, the Jets, yes, you should be beating down on them this bad. And I think anytime you put up 48 points against any team in the NFL, it is good. But even with the Colts before this Daniel Jones injury, they were beating teams this bad, and I never felt confident in them being a true Super Bowl contender. But you beat the Jets nice. You beat the Colts when Danny Dimes gets injured early on. You beat Tennessee. You take Arizona to overtime when you should have realistically lost that game. You beat the Chargers pretty bad. You beat Vegas in overtime by only 1 point. Like, there's a lot of close, interesting wins. And I go back to earlier in the season, whether it's them losing to Houston, or it's them losing 35-7 to the Rams, or them losing to the Seahawks. Like, I don't know. I'm not 100% in on this team, and I'm excited to see them play Denver. And that's the great part about the National Football League, is it is such a week-to-week base. It goes on such a week-to-week basis, but you can also get hot at the right time. So I will change my tune if they do beat Denver, as much as I haven't gone all the way in on this team. But it's going to be an interesting race between them and the Texans. The Texans also got a massive win against the Cardinals, 40-20. This defense looks unbelievable. And Griff, they're turning it up offensively at the right time.
You got to be hitting your stride right now. This is a perfect time to hit your stride, like we said. Now, again, it's a week by week league. If they get blown out by Denver, it's like, okay, we're gonna let the reins off a little bit by the Jags. They go and beat Denver in Denver. We start having conversations like, okay, dude, this team might be the best team in the AFC. I know that's like a shock value thing, but that's not super shocking because Denver's one of the best teams in the AFC. If they go to Denver in the chilly cold and win a Florida team that does it, I'm going to be impressed.
What happens if they get boat raced by 3-4 touchdowns?
They go back in the queue to kind of like the Chargers run. You know what I mean? A little bit better than the Chargers. They're still going to make the playoffs, but I see them losing in the playoffs, if that makes sense.
Okay. All right. Let's hop to the other AFC South team that's been on a roll here. Texans pull out the belts. There was a lot of belting this week. There was a lot of great games, but there's also a lot of belting. Texans won 40-20. Jonathan Gannon, I don't know how this guy's going to have a job at the end of the season. And like I said, I never sit up here and call for anyone's job, but man, it is getting rough in Arizona really, really quick. The Texans, Griff, they have been without a doubt the hottest team in football. I believe that if my math serves me correct, that is now 6 straight W's. They've been red hot.
6 wins. They're red hot. Listen, viewer, the Texans are one of the 2 teams that I see going to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. I'm not going to mention the second team, but to me, the Texans are top 2. It's either them or this other team that I'm going to talk about. The Texans defense, best in the NFL. CJ Stroud is getting better. That offense is getting better. You can rely on that defense, and defense wins championships. So they're one right now. I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl, either them or this other team. The Cardinals, they're openly tanking, but I mean, they're doing a good job out of it in games past where they keep it close. This game was not close. I think Collins took a 75-yarder to open the game.
And I was playing him in fantasy.
That blows. That absolutely stinks. But I mean, the Houston Texans right now are on fire. I love this team. The defense is great, phenomenal. I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl. There's another team that I think is either them or the other team. But yeah, the Texans are great.
Yeah, they are great. They are, and this is what you've wanted to see from them, Griff. Like the defense single-handedly can win you games. To your point, defense wins championships, the old adage. That's specifically true with this team. Like I think this defense is so good where it's like similar to the Broncos with Peyton Manning in 2015, where it's like they can win you all of these games and get you to the Super Bowl, especially in an AFC without Mahomes, without Joe Burrow, like a really questionable AFC. The Texans feel like the team that can realistically go win the Super Bowl this year outside of, I think I know who you're going to say next year, but man, I've been just so fired up about this Texans team, and they're getting better offensively. Stroud's playing with confidence. He is getting into his mojo. 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. They're finally running the football decently. And it's also a little bit of like, hey, they're playing the Cardinals, so how much stock do I want to put into them doing that? But Jonathan Gannon is a defensive-minded head coach, and they've drafted on that D line. Like they're supposed to be good defensively, and they haven't been. But I will take any sort of positivity with this team running the football at a high level, with them making strides on the offensive side of the ball. Man, if they continue to play like this offensively, Griff, I don't know who beats them. It is going to be tough to see anyone beating this team.
No, it's going to be tough. And I did the math. I was doing the Albert Einstein math on this one. I think they catch the Jags. I think they catch the Jags. If they tie, I believe the Texans have the tiebreaker over them based on some weird percentage. But I think the Jags lose to the Broncos this week. I think the Texans beat off the top of my dome, who do the Texans play? A bum. I think they play the Raiders.
They play, Raiders, Chargers, Indy.
Yeah, so I think those are 3 wins, and I think the Jags play the Broncos, and then I think they play 2 cupcakes.
So, and I was just thinking about this because I am a massive Nebraska fan, and so their Nebraska women's volleyball team, we were talking about this a little bit, had like a historically
Did they make the
good
Final
season.
Four?
Dude, they lost in the Elite Eight, and
I know. I was watching a little bit of that. A ton of teams in that tournament.
Oh my gosh, man. They were minus, and I didn't even know you could bet on women's volleyball, side note, but I saw a tweet about this after. For any of you betting geeks out there, they were minus 3,200 to win this match, and they lost.
Who'd they lose?
This Texas A&M. This was one of the most historically good teams in women's volleyball in forever. And the reason why I bring this up, I crazy side note, but this does have some.
He'll get there, viewer.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Okay. They didn't lose any games all season long. They went like 32-0, buzzsawing everyone. If you're the Texans, do you want to get one loss out of there at a certain point? Like they've won 6 in a row, Raiders, Chargers, Indy. If you're 9-0 to finish the season, that's great that you're playing at a high level. But do you maybe just want to lose one game like against the Chargers just to get it out, just to get that loss out? Or is it like, hey, we want to win the division?
No, it wouldn't. It definitely wouldn't hurt. But it's twofold, dude. It wouldn't hurt because all that pressure's on you. But if you look at the division, and let's just say the Patriots beat out the Bills for the division, you could somehow sneaky get Houston at the Bills or Houston at home against the Bills. That's where I look at some weird things. Like I'd rather be at home against the Bills than go to Buffalo and play in the snow against the Bills. Not saying the Houston Texans can't beat teams in the cold, but it's topsy turvy. Kind of like with the Patriots. Like the Patriots were on a 10-game win streak. Kind of with the Broncos, they're on an 11-game win streak. Do you want to get that loss and then hit your stride? But if you're hitting your stride right now, it'll just take you right into the playoffs momentum wise. So I think the Houston Texans catch the Jags and win their division.
I totally agree. And I don't think it's like I'm worried about any of these teams getting complacent, but I just almost look at like this Nebraska women's volleyball team and it's like, hey, you win like 36 straight games and then you finally lose one. It's like, do you just want to lose one in the regular season to be like, okay, let's lock back in. Let's get into this mindset where it's like we're the underdogs again. We're not smelling ourselves. And I think that's what, maybe some of these teams are going to experience. But to your point, you do not want to go to Buffalo in a cold, snowy game where Josh Allen's probably going to have 5 touchdowns no matter how good your defense is, and Stroud's got to be amazing. Like you don't want any of those games, but at the same time, man, maybe you want to shake off a little bit of something. Griff, we already know who your Super Bowl team. Other one is going to be in the AFC. Packers, Broncos. Let's hear it.
Listen, Caden, 2 teams, in my opinion, are going to go to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. It's either going to be the Broncos or the Houston Texans. Defense wins championships, ladies and gentlemen, and both of these defenses are red hot. I'm talking about Sydney Sweeney hot. I'm talking about her walking on the red carpet, flaming hot. These 2 defenses will win you a championship. And if Denver, what they did against the Packers, they had multiple chances to fold, like a house of cards. They didn't. They came back. Bo Nix, one of the best games I've ever seen him play. What do you throw for 4 or 5 touchdowns? He played excellent. That offense played really good. The defense, showed up when they needed to. They showed up when they needed to. And then the Packers losing their best player, in my opinion, Micah Parsons. I'll get that into a second. I still want to gas up Sydney Sweeney and these defenses. Going to the Super Bowl, the Houston Texans and the Denver Broncos. If the Bills win, I wouldn't be shocked. If the Patriots wouldn't be shocked. But I'm telling you right now, I'm putting the guru name on it. Sydney Sweeney hot defenses gets you to the Super Bowl, and that's the Denver Broncos and the Houston Texans, ladies and gentlemen. The Denver Broncos, Bo Nix is playing good. Now let's go back to the Packers. You know what I mean? Get off the Sydney Sweeney card.
I know it's like what I'm envisioning right now. I got to get back to football.
Oh, we'll clip it. You know what I mean, chat? We'll get an edit. You know what I mean? We'll mix in the Sydney Sweeney things. But yeah, the Packers, Micah Parsons, season-ending injury. The Packers are done, Caden. The Packers are done. They're going to get to the divisional round or the NFC Championship game, and they're going to sit there and say, man, we really needed a pass rusher. You had the pass rusher. It's just weird luck. To win a Super Bowl, chat, you have to be lucky. You have to win your games. You have to have good quarterbacks. You have to be lucky in the injury factor because, like I said, that defense, I think, revolved around him. How many double teams did he have, Caden? A trillion. Now they could relegate it out to the other players. That offense is still going to put up points. I'm not saying the Packers are going to be first-round exits or not make the playoffs, but I'm telling you, in that divisional round or the NFC Championship game, they will lose that game, and they'll sit there and say, man, if we had Micah, we would have won that game. But shout out Denver and Houston, Sydney Sweeney, Super Bowl teams.
So what about if you have a Super Bowl or a Sydney Sweeney Super Bowl good-looking level quarterback in Josh Allen? Because that's how I view him. He's like my Haley Steinfeld to your Sydney Sweeney.
Listen, not Steinfeld. We're talking about old school because if Matthew Stafford gets in there, you gotta go old school. You gotta go.
He's like Ana de Armas.
Yeah, or whoever. I'm trying to think off the top of my dome. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what it is. You know what I mean? You're gonna have the Sydney Sweeney defenses versus Matthew Stafford. What is he? 37 years old. I mean, it's gonna be a movie. It's gonna be a.
So what category does Josh fall under? Because he's out there. He's Sydney Sweeney level.
Josh Allen is like Haley Steinfeld, you know what I mean? That level, Sydney Sweeney
that's
level.
Still peak. That's still peak.
That's peak. But that's the younger cats, you know what I mean? Matthew Stafford's more or the older cats. I'm trying to think like who's
J-Lo.
What are we doing? J-Lo, you know what I mean? We're going
older. I'm trying to find
who is the girl in Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
See, I'm not the right person to ask, and you know this. You know
Brad
I'm not the
Pitt,
right person to ask
Brad
about these
Pitt, and
questions.
Angelina Jolie.
I don't know these actresses and actors.
You
Like
don't know
you've
who
already
Angelina
put me.
Jolie is.
I do know her, but you know whether it's Steve Irwin or Robert Irwin, I did know them, but you put me on the spot a few times, and
Okay. But
you know I'm not great
Angelina
with these
Jolie is
names.
Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's an older gentleman. You know what I mean? Angelina Jolie is an older actress. You know what I mean? But I mean, she's still up there. She's still up there in the good looks factor. But yeah, the Green Bay Packers, it just sucks because you had the guy. You know, you had the guy. You gave up so much for him. It's just a weird luck fluke thing that had happened. What did you see in this game?
The Packers, again, just not being able to finish it out. Like this should have been a Packers win. They were up 9, and I understand that Micah Parsons got hurt, and there's a lot of injuries in this game, and that's been the story of the Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur era. Injuries in this receiving core. Christian Watson goes down. Zach Tom goes down, right tackle. And then obviously the massive Micah Parsons injury, just so devastating for two generational players in Mahomes and Parsons to both go down in like a 15-minute span. I'm watching Red Zone and both of these guys go down. I'm like, man, you know what it is. You know what it is right away. And it's just devastating. And for Green Bay, I just don't want to sit here and say the season's over because I do believe that Jordan Love is this type of quarterback where, you know, if his guys are healthy, if he's got guys next to him, I think he's the type of guy that can get hot in the right moment. He can get Sidney Sweeney level hot like Josh Allen. And I know that maybe is a hot take, but I think Jordan Love can get Sidney Sweeney hot and really help this Packers team still make a run, regardless of Micah Parsons or not, because this still is a good defense, Micah Parsons or not. This still is a very solid defense. They've still got plenty of playmakers offensively, but you need Christian Watson, you need Zach Tom, you need Josh Jacobs fully healthy, and this team needs Jordan Love to be dang near perfect for them to go on a run. But I don't think we can completely write that off. For the Broncos, great win. It feels like this team, and I don't know when it's ever going to catch them. Griff, they're turning on their offensive superpowers really late into games, and that does concern me a tad, but they are still winning. So really, how much can I criticize? But if there's one thing I would say, it's like, man, fourth quarter, they needed like 15 points against the Eagles. They needed a really good second half from Bo Nix here. I just love to see them put together a full 60-minute game offensively, because I do think that may be what ultimately nips them in the bud.
The reason why I think the Denver Broncos are going to be one of two teams that go to the Super Bowl is because of home field advantage. Home field advantage is huge, and playing in the Mile High City, it's very difficult to play. I mean, not a lot of people do it. Now, I like any divisional game, they're not going to be in the AFC Championship. So, like, if the Bills have to go to Denver for the AFC Championship game, that's tough. Texans have to go. That's tough. Patriots have to go. That's tough. The Patriots don't do well there. I know we're throwing it back to like the Tom Brady days, but that home field advantage for the Denver Broncos is going to be huge for them late in the year. Cold game, defenses thrive in the cold. Bo Nix just has to play. Well, I'll tell you right now, Bo Nix plays like he did against the Packers. No one's beating him. And I'm talking about Super Bowl wise too. No one is beating them. Home field advantage is going to be huge for Denver. So they definitely need to win out. And that's a huge factor for me on why I think the Broncos are going to go to the Super Bowl, one of two teams.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. I just think if they can piece it together a little earlier on offensively, I would be all the way
now,
in.
If they lose home field advantage,
yeah,
if they lose home field advantage, that's another story. But like in my brain, I think that they're going to beat the Jags and win out and get the number 1 overall seed.
Okay. All right. I like it. I think Denver, they're continuing to win, and that's the most important thing in football. Lions, Rams. I thought the Lions were actually going to pull the upset here. As much as I've been on the Rams, I said that I think the Lions could actually sneak this one out. Now it's feeling really good in the first half. They were up 10. They were doing some racing with Jameson Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs. I was feeling great. And then all of a sudden, this team just completely gives up offensively. The offense goes flat, and the Rams had a ton of injuries in that receiving core in the second half. Like, this was a winnable game. This was for the taking for the Lions, and they just went flat. And I know that's crazy to say, but you've got to lean on your offense. You understand what the identity is. If you're the Detroit Football Lions, you put up 24 points in the first half, go to the exact same thing in the second half, 10 points against a really good Rams team. And to your point, how we're talking about how the AFC doesn't necessarily have these juggernauts offensively like the NFC does. Man, Angelina Jolie showed up in a big time way for the Rams. Here they are.
Huge. Absolutely huge. Side note, what the hell was that touchdown call when they reviewed it and he was down by like 2 yards short of the end zone? I was like, what are we gambling?
Awful.
Did that guy have him in his fan? I don't even
Awful.
remember the guy's name, but I was like, because even the commentators were baffled. The guy, you know how the commentators have like their own ref up there, like the professional ref or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. He was baffled. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong, they were going to score the next play anyways, but let's start at the beginning. This was a track meet. This was an absolute track meet, and the Lions were winning the track meet early on in this game. It was 24-17, I believe, at halftime, and the Rams got the ball. They came out, and I want to say they either went 3 and out, and then the Lions went 3 and out as well. Lions, the third quarter killed you, absolutely destroyed you. You needed to score, and that's what the Lions are. Like you said, you need to score at least a field goal every time you touch the ball, Lions. You have to score a touchdown and or a field goal, more touchdowns than field goals, of course, every time you touch the ball. First half was awesome. Second half stunk. Second half absolutely stunk. Second half defense for the Lions absolutely stunk. I don't think Matthew Stafford, Angelina Jolie didn't score a touchdown in the second half every time they touched the ball. They looked amazing. Now, Devontae Adams' injury is getting me a little off, Caden. You know what I mean? Not saying that they're not going to win the Super Bowl, but I mean, if he's not there, if he's out long term, I know we saw it, like he's going to be back. But if that's a lingering injury, that's a big injury for the Rams. He is Matthew Stafford's red zone target. You know what I mean? He's got 1 billion touchdowns. Puka Nacua is great too. But him going down might be huge, especially this Thursday night football game against the Seahawks and the Rams. But the Rams in the second half, they out-tracked the track stars in the Lions, if that makes sense. And if you look at the Lions, Caden, they're in trouble about losing not making the playoffs. What are they, 9-8 right now or 9-7?
They're 8-6.
So, oh my gosh, they're 8-6. And we've talked about it all year. 10 wins might not get you into the playoffs. They have to beat the Steelers. Then they have to win out. And even then, they need some help on the other side because teams like the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Bears, the Packers, all those teams are going to keep winning. And there's only 3 spots for a wild card spot. And the Lions, they need to pick it up. That was a winnable game, like you said, and they pooped their pants in the second half.
Yep, they're now a game and a half back from Green Bay, who's 9-4-1. They've got a lot of distance to make up here, and with 3 games left, you got Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and Chicago. You don't control your own destiny, but I think what the more serviceable route is for them to make it into the playoffs.
Over them.
Yeah, exactly. And the way that they're probably going to make the playoffs is hoping that the Bears lose out. And I think there is a small possibility that happens, because if it doesn't, there's not another path for them to make it. San Francisco will secure that wild card. The Rams are going to be just fine. You're going to have at least 2 teams in the NFC North that make it. In Green Bay and the Bears look great right now. And for Chicago, Green Bay.
What are their last 3 games?
Yeah, Green Bay on the road against San Francisco and then Detroit. So tough, really tough.
That is tough for the Bears. That is tough for the
Bears. That could be a week 18. Whoever wins against them two makes the playoffs.
Are they going to San Fran or are they at home?
They're going to San Fran.
And are they at Detroit or are they at home?
They're at home against Detroit and Green Bay.
Okay, so those are 2 benefits. Yeah, no, Detroit. Sorry, you're not making the playoffs unless like
Detroit beat them 52-21 earlier this year.
Yeah, like I think that was week 2.
Yeah, week 2 or 3,
or week 2, week 3. Yeah, no, they need help. They need the Bears to lose out.
Griff, along with me being in shambles from Patrick Mahomes, the Carolina Panthers have yet again let me down. And I won't say that I was surprised, because I knew it was coming. I knew we were going to lose this game. People just thought this was I had about 10 people text me, bro, Panthers are going to win this game. Like, should I just nuke them? And I was like, and I was not even just you, not even just you. I had multiple people texting me, asking me if they should put money on the Panthers. And I said, listen, it's the trappiest game of the entire year. I absolutely hate it. I would stay away. And sure enough, we looked good in the beginning. I think it was 17-7. I was like, okay, maybe everyone was right. Maybe this was really just an absolute cakewalk for us. And then we lose. And now here we are. We're not going to make the playoffs. It's the same cycle every year.
Listen, it is an absolute roller coaster for you Panthers fans. 1 minute you're beating the Packers, 1 minute you're losing the Saints. 1 minute you're beating the Rams, one of the best teams in the NFL. The next minute you're losing to the Saints again. So it makes no sense. This game, I was one of them. I told Kane, I was like, dude, there's no way I think the Panthers lose this game. After Thursday Night Football, the Tampa Bay Bucks losing, I thought the Panthers can catch a game on them. I know they played each other 2 more times, so if the Panthers lost anyways, but they were up 17-7, like you said. It's not like they were down in this game, and then the Saints just chip back. Tyler Shoe, oh my goodness. They're going to go with this guy. They're going to go with this guy moving towards the future. But the Panthers, it's like they got up 17-7, and then they're like, ugh. Like they let their foot off the gas. I think it was late. They could have kicked the field goal, I believe, to go up by 10 because I think it was 17-10, and it was like a 55-yarder, and they went for it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so.
Do they not have a good kicker? Or was that one of those 4th and 1s, and they were like, "Let's roll the dice"?
I think they wanted to roll the dice and just get aggressive, try and go win the game. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, like honestly, like because you would know if like the kicker can't kick a 55-yarder, but I mean, to me, I was watching or I was getting the highlights on my phone because I had a two-leg parlay of the Rams and the Panthers, and I was really worried about the Rams because they were down by 7 in the first half, and I was like, dude, the Panthers are going to win. I need to have all my focus on the Rams here. You know what I mean? The Rams got the job done. Then I go back to the Panthers, number 22, oatmeal for brains. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me. They're on the 50-yard line, 12 seconds left, no timeouts. Tyler Shoes running it and going down 22, leaves his feet, and he sits there. What 22? I don't even know your name.
Lathan Ransom, man.
We live in 2025. You know that's a penalty.
Yeah.
You know that's a penalty. You give them 15 more yards. The field goal makes it easier. If he would have gone down, I think they were 5 yards back from that guy's longest field goal. So it was like that number 22. You have oatmeal for brains. I was so pissed at that moment because like that was the game. I knew he was going to make the kick after that, but no, it's like you said. You said the Panthers aren't going to make the playoffs. I think they still have a chance because they're so up and down. But going back to the original when we started the pod, either them or the Bucs are going to win this division and be first round exits.
Yeah. I mean, it's so tough. It's a roller coaster. Lathan Ransom, get yourself a Chuck E. Cheese application, my boy. I don't know why you're absolutely plastering this dude when he's going down. Play it safe. And now here we are at 7-7. We've got to beat Tampa Bay twice. We've got to play Seattle. I think we could lose out. That's not an unrealistic world. And I know I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment here, but how am I supposed to sit here and have confidence? We just got swept by the Saints this year, and they have 4 wins all year long, and 2 of them are against the Carolina Panthers. Oh, man, unbelievable. Titans 49ers, kind of a belts game. The Titans made it a little bit more close at the end, but man, Brock Purdy was absolutely cooking. What'd you see here?
Brock Purdy was great. The offense was great. The defense dominated. The Tennessee Titans stink. I want to just use all the time on the 49ers. They're a sneaky good team, Caden. They're not only a sneaky good team, they could sneak win this division. If Seattle wins this week on Thursday Night Football and the 49ers win out, that last game against the 49ers in Seattle might be for the division. So the Seahawks fans really want the Bears. They really want the 49ers to lose one of those games. But yeah, the 49ers can still sneak win this division and sneak get the 1 seed. Like that's how crazy flying under the radar this 49ers team is. And I kind of was eye-opening because I was like, oh my God, these dudes can get the 1 seed. And they're flying right under the radar. No one gives them credit. Don't get me wrong. 4 weeks ago, the Rams beat the brakes off the 49ers. And maybe the 49ers are prisoners of playing bad teams, but you can't blame them for who they have on their schedule. Sneaky good team. I like the 49ers. Shout out the 49ers whooping Tennessee.
I'd just like to let everyone know, as much as everyone gets on me for the Kansas City Chiefs, I predicted the 49ers at the beginning of the season would get the number 1 seed in the NFC. And they've had a plethora of injuries, and they still might have a chance to do this. I agree with you, Griff. This is not a team that we can just sit here and say, oh, well, they're beating down on bad teams. They are good defensively. And on the offensive side of the ball, Brock Purdy's got this championship pedigree. He's been in big moments before, and he's made big time plays. Now, yes, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but Brock Purdy was really, really good that game. And everybody wants to sit here and say, oh, well, Brock Purdy's only good because of his weapons. Where's Deebo Samuel? Where's Brandon Ayuk? This dude has had a revolving door of weapons all year long, and yet he's still and he himself has been injured. But when he's been in there outside of Carolina, he's been really good this year. He has been a borderline top 10 quarterback in football. And I think this is a guy that in the playoffs, Griff, if they're playing the Eagles, I would take the 49ers. If they're playing the Buccaneers, I would take the 49ers. And guess what? As crazy as this sounds, if they played Chicago or if they played Green Bay, I think I would lean San Francisco with everything considered. This is not a team to be messed with. And man, could you imagine if they got that 1 seed in the NFC? That would be crazy.
And it's literally right in front of us. Now, don't get me wrong. If the Rams beat Seattle, that kind of like ends that dream. But the 49ers want Seattle to win. Then if they win out, they play Seattle at the end of the year, and that's going to be for the 1 seed and the division. So the 49ers, I know we're in a weird time where like you have to root for divisional rivals, but I think the 49ers want Seattle to beat the Rams on Thursday Night Football. So at the end of the year, they could have a chance to be the 1 seed.
Yeah, no question. Let's talk about Seattle here. 6 field goals. Jason Myers, your MVP. Old Man Rivers nearly gets it done. What a game. I had a smile on my face like the entire time watching this. That one play where he dropped back, fell down, got back up, and then took like a 2-yard loss. I mean, I was like, dude, how is one of the best defenses in the NFL getting cooked by 44-year-old Phillip Rivers? This was almost like your nap game of the week, but because of the fact that Phillip Rivers was playing, it was just absolute pandemonium. What'd you see here?
Phillip Rivers, watch him out there. Dude's, he's out of shape. He looks like he's got a beer gut, you know what I mean? But hey, he's slinging the rock. He's slinging the rock. And 11-point dogs against the Seattle Seahawks covered the spread. So shout out the Colts backers, you know what I mean? Who shout out Phillip Rivers for covering that spread. No, Caden, this is kind of eerie for the Seahawks. For the past couple weeks now, Sam Darnold has not played well. And this is like very like, okay, Sam Darnold, you need to start playing well. This is when you need to start playing well and then getting into the playoffs, because we know what you did in the playoffs last year. We know what you did in the last 2 games of the season last year. I'm not saying he's going to repeat that, but he's not, the offense isn't playing that well. They scored 5 field goals.
6.
Like 6 field goals. It was just a field goal fest. You know what I mean? Now, they do have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and defenses, like I said, win championships. So the Seattle Seahawks, they need to get the home field advantage. They need to win out. They need to get home field advantage, play in front of that crowd. Sam Darnold needs to play better offensively. They got the win. Don't get me wrong. It was sweaty. The Seahawks fans were sweating their cojones off, but they got the job done. Shout out Phillip Rivers, and shout out Phillip Rivers. He's starting next week too. So close game. But the Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold, you got to start playing better.
I mean, that's got to be the dirtiest bet of the entire year. Taking Phillip Rivers, a 44-year-old quarterback, off the couch as a 2-touchdown underdog against the Seattle team that's been really good this year. I mean, if you bet them,
he is,
props to you.
He's like 3rd in comeback player of the year right now to be bet. He's not the favorite. Don't get me wrong. Christian McCaffrey is the favorite. But I mean, like, even to be 3rd, I start thinking to myself, I was like, what does he have to do to win it? Like, I guess if the Colts make the playoffs somehow, like
finish the season, and
they might just F around and give it to him.
That would be crazy. Wow. I wonder. I mean, there's no way he could have had odds before that, but I mean, theoretically, like, what if it was like just plus 10 million? You just went,
yeah, it had to be.
That's insanity. Well, props to Phillip Rivers for coming off the bench. Let's head to Sunday Night Football here. JJ, no longer McTrash Bag. He turns into, and he elevates into 9. He elevated 9. Into 9. What'd you see?
What did I say? Do you remember what I told you about this game?
It's either a McTrash Bags performance or a 9 performance.
And I said it doesn't matter what Dallas plays like. Like, Dallas can play great or bad. If JJ McCarthy, or if 9 shows up, they're cooked. If 9 shows up, Dallas is cooked. If McTrash Bag shows up, Dallas would have won by 3 touchdowns. And that's exactly what happened. 9 showed up. The defense for the Cowboys is rat meat. Dak Prescott, you're paying him $60 million. You're never going to get that return on investment. You know what I mean? He never plays up to the par. I'm not saying Dak Prescott sucks. I'm not saying Dak Prescott is that. But when I look at people getting paid Patrick Mahomes money, Josh Allen money, and he has never sniffed that level, I don't know. I digress. But the Cowboys, they had their little Cinderella run. They had their little Cinderella winning 2 games against the Eagles and the Chiefs. It had me. I was hooked. I was like, dude, the Eagles are going to implode and the Cowboys are going to win out and win the division. It just didn't happen. The Vikings, don't know what you're doing, kind of ruin your draft stock. But I will say that what's different about the Vikings is they want to see this development from 9. They want to see this development from JJ. They would rather him develop and win games than lose out and him not look good, if that makes sense. They want to develop him and hit the ground running next year, whether it be getting the 20th overall pick or whatever. But they dominate the Dallas Cowboys. Crazy. The Cowboys were like a 5.5-point favorite. And I will say, I mean, like I said, if McTrash Bag showed up, the Cowboys would have won by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I picked Minnesota last week to win outright. This was a game where I'm like, Minnesota, to your point, if they get 9 to show up, this is still a really good football team with talent everywhere. I have a video dropping later today, and the people won't see this one until Wednesday. But I said that exact same sentiment where it's like, who cares about the draft pick? You want to see JJ McCarthy be the best player that he could possibly be over the next few weeks and show that he is your franchise guy. You don't want any doubts. And so if that means winning 5 straight games and it's going to cost you a draft pick, Who cares? You want to know that JJ McCarthy is the guy. You want to know that he's your franchise leader. So continue to see this progression from JJ. Minnesota wants to see this progression, and you've gotten it over the last 2 weeks. He's at his best 2-game stretch of the season. And Griff, when you go back to every moment with McCarthy, whether it's him at Michigan, he handed the ball off a ton. It wasn't like he got a ton of throwing reps like a lot of other quarterbacks did. And so he comes in as a rookie, tears his knee out, doesn't get all of those reps his rookie year. This season, he's injured. He's battling that ankle injury. He really hasn't played that much football over the last few years. And what it comes down to is that consistency, the reps that you get. JJ just needs time. And I do think he can be a very solid quarterback. KOC's turned a lot of good quarterbacks into great quarterbacks. I'm excited to see what they can do to finish out the season, because it's obviously very big, because they've got a lot riding on JJ, and they view themselves as a Super Bowl contender every single year with that type of talent. Let's dive into Monday Night Football here. Is Tua Tagovailoa the worst quarterback in the NFL? I feel like I go back and forth on it every single game. I mean, Griff, McDaniels has taken the ball out of his hand over the last 5 weeks when they've been on this winning streak, and the dude's being paid $55 million a year, and he's a liability.
One of the most overpaid quarterbacks in the NFL. They paid him for what? He did nothing for their franchise. Listen, I know the owner of the Miami Dolphins is watching this podcast right now just for this moment. Here's some free advice. You got to get rid of everyone from top to the bottom. I mean, the coach needs to go. The Tua needs to go. This is a reboot. Exactly what needs to happen in Cincinnati. Your team can't win cold games. And you play these teams, Buffalo in division, Patriots in division, New York in division. It gets cold in December, and you have to play those teams. Not to mention, you got to play Cincy in the playoffs, the Ravens, the Steelers. Your team can
Chiefs.
Something needs to change. Something needs to change, Caden. I'm gonna bust down the door if I'm the owner. I'm like, dude, we're 0-11 in the last. Like, we cannot win. We need some structure in here. We need some dogs. We need some dogs in here that don't freeze in the cold. Like, listen, I was on the Dolphins. I thought they were going to beat the narratives. Like, listen, they're going to be competitive in this game. They look soft. They looked like they didn't want to be there. And I get it. They're already out of realistically the playoff scenario. So they're not playing for a lot. But yeah, I'm from top to bottom. I'm booting everyone. Like, this team needs some more grit. This team needs a Dan Campbell. They need a Dan Campbell in there to say, listen, because Caden, they're not getting the 1 seed. Like if they were a team who was getting the 1 seed all the time and playing in Miami in the playoffs, that's one thing. They're not. They have to play these cold games, and they stink in the cold. Shout out the Pittsburgh Steelers. Shout out Aaron Rodgers in that offense in the second half. The first half wasn't amazing. I think it was 7-3 in that first half. The defense showed up for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's crazy because if you just looked at the Pittsburgh's last 2 games, dude, you would think that this team could make moves in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's the problem with them, though. That's why this is the toxic relationship.
Yeah, they won't, because we know them. But the Dolphins, massive, massive disappointment. I'm not even saying that, like, you had to win this game. Just be competitive. They look like they didn't have a pulse out there offensively.
This is the problem with the Steelers, Griff, and this is why this is the most toxic relationship in the NFL. And you probably even know some people that have toxic relationships like this. But man, it is truly the roller coaster of doom with Pittsburgh, man. It's the last 2 weeks you win in really nice fashions, and maybe that's now this girl's now wearing a new dress that you really appreciate, or she's trying a new perfume, or she's wearing her hair in a different way. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers, Griff, and she texts you how she loves you, how she's super sorry for everything, and you win 2 straight games. But the inevitable is coming with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I will never fall for this trap. I see it. I see it from a mile away. I know what's coming, and I will never get myself into this spider web, because once you're in the spider web, Griff, you're cooked. You're cooked. So they may be 8-6 right now. And if they make the playoffs, it's even going to be funnier when we go back and look at this, because they will not win a playoff game. If they make the playoffs and they play, let's say, Houston as the 5 seed or Buffalo as the 5 seed, they will get beat by 4 touchdowns, just like they did last year. I'm not falling for any of this Pittsburgh propaganda, whatever. Miami. I think Mike McDaniels is such a good coach that he is winning games with a $55 million quarterback that can barely throw the ball over 10 yards. I mean,
you're saying you got to keep him.
I think Mike McDaniel is a tremendous head coach. That's and that's how crazy I feel about how overpaid Tua is. No Tyreek Hill, no Jalen Phillips. Griff, you look at Tua's stats. He hasn't been throwing for over 175 yards barely. They've been running the football. They've been changing up this offense, and they've been winning games. That's how good of a coach Mike McDaniel is. You take the ball out of your $55 million a year quarterback's hands, or $53 million, whatever it is, and you're still winning games. That's how good of a coach Mike McDaniel is, and yet people want this dude fired. I understand if you're just looking at it in terms of wins and losses. Dude, Tua, I don't even want to sit here and be that guy, but it's like $50+ million a year. This is the worst. I don't know what contract is worse, Deshaun Watson or Tua Tagovailoa. I don't know. It's that bad.
It's up there. Listen,
those are one and two worst ever.
No, they're really bad. I just think the Dolphins head coach, not everyone is head coach material. I think he's a great offensive coordinator. You know what I mean? I think he's going to be a good offensive coordinator. I think so. They need to get someone else in there like a Dan Campbell to just punch those dudes in the mouth, metaphorically, and toughen those boys up, because I just don't think the Dolphins coach can do it right now. That is our Week 15 recap. We want to appreciate you tuning into the pod, liking, commenting. We appreciate you guys. We're in the baby phase. We say it. We've been saying it for the couple days. This is our third pod, I believe, Caden, and we appreciate you coming along with it. We're going to drop a video for our Week 16 picks. That'll drop Thursday. This is Wednesday, but we appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We've loved the support that you guys have been showing us over the last few days. It's been absolutely awesome. And this is just the beginning. We've still got so much more to go. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, keep coming back for more. And we appreciate you guys. See you later.